Hello from Columbus, Ohio. I'm Scott Foltz alongside Jason Dye. Those stories plus a Northwoods battle in the Big Ten and the Tide roll into Nashville.
And a top 10 ACC game in the Sunshine State that could shape up the conference. All that coming up after this. You're watching Sports Talk on CFC, so stick around.
Last week was the start of conference play where the wins and losses really start to matter, and upset games can upset entire seasons. Just ask LSU, who struggled all game against Ole Miss. The Tigers did score first with a 7-yard touchdown, but the Rebels answered with a field goal and two touchdowns of their own to end the half up 17-10. LSU dominated the third quarter, but only with field goals. Ole Miss ran one more in the fourth to go up 24-13, but LSU came back with 5 minutes to play with a 6-yard touchdown run. But the Tigers failed to get the two-point conversion, and the Rebels take this one 24-19. This one was so crazy they switched rankings. Ole Miss was 13, jumped to 4, while LSU was 4 and fell all the way to 13. The big question here, are either of these teams contenders for an SEC title?
I right now I think so. I think it can go either. I think anybody in the SEC can beat anybody. It's the same thing we've seen year from the SEC. It's a cannibalistic conference. So I'm a little bit surprised on the ranking flip flop there. I mean, that's a significant gap.
Yeah.
But it does prove that to play in the SEC, you got to win, and LSU obviously didn't get it done. So it'll be interesting to see towards the end of the season who pulls it out and how it all plays out in the end. With Alabama and Georgia still got a bunch of those games left to play.
In the other SEC game of interest, Alabama showed maybe it wasn't just Nick Saban. The Tide rolled into Athens and gave the Bulldog defense a rough time of it. Alabama got on the board first off a 6-yard touchdown pass in the first quarter and another one in the first minute of the second. Georgia answered only minutes later to make it 14-7. The Tide kicked one in from 24 yards to widen the lead, but the Bulldogs scored on a 2-yard run with just over 2 minutes in the half to pull within 3. Alabama widened their lead to 10 with just over 30 seconds in the half, heading into the locker room 24-14. Third quarter action saw Georgia pick up a single touchdown, and the fourth quarter was scoreless for both teams, and the Tide take this one 24-21. I think it's safe to say that seasoning opening loss really lit a fire under Alabama. Now, it's a little early, but would you say that Alabama will be one of the 12 at the end of this season?
I'm just going to say after this week, it's going to really tell where Alabama's at. Because here comes a little bit, we'll be going over Vanderbilt and Alabama.
Yes, sir.
But again, cannibalistic conference. I picked Georgia to beat Alabama because I wasn't set on Alabama yet, but they seem to be resurging in the SEC. So and they're getting it done. They're finding ways to get it done.
And it was only a 3-point game.
Yeah.
So you very well could have gone to Georgia.
Yeah.
Over now to the Big Ten, where Illinois hosted USC in their rebound from the beating they took from Indiana. Well, they rebounded. First quarter was largely uneventful, each team scoring a single touchdown. The Illini picked up 7 more early in the second, and USC kicked one in with just 2 seconds remaining in the half, heading into halftime with Illinois up 14-10. Third quarter action saw Illinois pick up a field goal and a touchdown, and the Trojans answering with a touchdown of their own. The Illini opened the fourth quarter with a 25-yard touchdown pass, but the Trojans came alive towards the end with a touchdown followed by a 2-point conversion and another touchdown with just a minute 55 left to play to give USC their first lead of the game, 32-31. But a lot can happen in 2 minutes. Illinois with a 41-yard boot with no time left to take this one, 34-32. When we discussed this game last week, you mentioned ESPN had predicted USC had a 72% chance to win, but you took Illinois. To me, this clearly means we're better than ESPN and people should watch Sports Talk instead of Sports Center. Would you agree?
Well, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, you get those head cheeses over there. And granted, a lot of those guys know a lot of their stuff, and fine. But you can't. Everybody counted out Illinois for that thrashing they took. And like I said in last week's show, Brett Bielema was going to have that team ready to play, and he said, "Hey, this is going to be a 4-quarter game," and it was a 4-quarter game right down to the minute.
Yep. Down to the minute, down to the second.
Yeah,
That was a walk-off field goal.
yep.
That was it. You missed that, it's over.
Yeah. Now, was I nervously watching that field goal? Of course I was, because I want to be right all the time.
Don't
But
we all?
but it doesn't always happen. But in this case, when they hit that field goal, I was like 72% my he
Mhm.
did it. So yeah, take that ESPN and your stupid match predictor.
Calm down. Indiana is putting the college football world on notice. They are not to be overlooked this year. The Hoosiers got off to a quick lead, crossing the goal line just a minute and a half into the game, and held Iowa to a field goal in the first. The Hawkeyes came back in the second quarter with a 3-yard touchdown run to go up 10-7, but Indiana kicked one in from 46 yards to tie it up at the half. Third quarter was scoreless, and the fourth quarter saw both teams' kickers get their reps in to tie it up again at 13 until Indiana threw one for 49 yards with a minute 28 left to play to put the Hoosiers up 20-13. 3 seconds left, Indiana ball, 4th and 19 from their own 40. Hoosiers ran backwards and took the sack in their own end zone as time expired, 20-15 Indiana. What are they putting in the water in Bloomington?
Winning.
Winning.
I just it really just blows my mind. Signetti, he's got that program turned around and locked in. But
Yep.
it proves that last year wasn't a fluke, and they're starting to get a little bit better this year. So I really like Indiana right now. They're making noise in the Big Ten Conference, and they need those strong teams in the Big Ten. We need this playoff push. We need our guys. We need our teams in there. Signetti is that kind of coach. I still love the quote. Well, if you look me up, if you Google me, all you're going to see is I'm a winner. And that was a pretty cocky statement until he met Ohio State and last year. But I love the confidence that he's put into this year and what he's been able to do.
Speaking of strong teams in the Big Ten, over at State College, Pennsylvania, the whiteout isn't as effective as they think it is. After a scoreless first quarter, Penn State kicked an early field goal in the second, and Oregon answered with one of their own to head to the locker room tied at 3. Third quarter's only score was an 8-yard touchdown pass to put the Ducks up 10-3. They added 7 more early in the fourth, and with a score of 17-3, this one was over. But nobody told the Nittany Lions that. A 35-yard touchdown pass closed the gap, and with 30 seconds left in the game, Penn State tied it up at 17. We going to overtime. Penn State got the ball first and ran one in, but Oregon answered, so we're tied at 24 and second overtime. This time the Ducks got the ball first and made the most of it in a single play to go up 30-24. Ducks go for 2, but it's picked off, and the Nittany Lions ran it back to the Oregon 49. Penn State with a chance to win it, but their first play, the Ducks intercepted, and that's game. Ducks win 30-24.
Yeah, and this was a phenomenal game.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but it goes to show what Dan Lanning said just a few weeks ago when they played Oklahoma State. We paid to win, and he got good players. He's got the players there to win. And Dan Lanning he's proven himself to be a very dangerous coach, if not one of the best coaches right now in college football. On the Penn State side, James Franklin again fails to close out the big one. He had to win this game.
Yeah.
He absolutely did. He had all the tools in place, a good defense, a decent quarterback. He had a good offensive line. They have all the pieces in place. But once again, he fails to finish the big one. Penn State's going to make the playoff. But right now, if you're going to tell me here in a couple weeks or so that Penn State is going to beat Ohio State, first things first, you had to beat Oregon.
Mm-hmm.
Now, on that other note, let's talk about Jim Knowles just for a second. Jim Knowles last year lost against Oregon when he coached at Ohio State in his first game of the season. This isn't to say that Penn State isn't going to play Oregon again down the road, and Jim Knowles has a way to adapt. The difference of it is Jim Knowles had all the weapons at Ohio State, the players in place, the personnel to be able to stop Oregon. Oregon's better this year. They ought to feel lucky that they only lost by, 6 points in overtime,
Double overtime.
in double overtime. I
And
mean,
it very well could have gone the other way. It was bad luck on a pass.
yeah. But what I'm saying is I really feel like he took some pages out of that book last year from Ohio State. He used it, but Dan Lanning has a little bit better of an edge when it comes to his offensive guys this year, and that's going to be something to for Penn State to really have to focus on because they got to play Ohio State. They're probably going to play Oregon again. You better figure this one out, or you ain't going nowhere. And James Franklin will still be in the same spot, wondering why it didn't get done yet.
The defending national champion Ohio State Buckeyes visited the Emerald City for the first time since 2007, adding to their now 5-game win streak against Washington. But the Huskies didn't just roll over. In fact, Washington put the first points on the board with a 28-yard field goal early in the second quarter. That proved to be their final lead of the game as the Buckeyes finally got something going with just over a minute to play in the half. Third quarter, Buckeyes extend their lead by 7, but the Huskies answer with another 28-yard kick for 3. Fourth quarter was all Ohio State, an early field goal and a late touchdown to seal this one, 24-6 Buckeyes. You have to give credit to both defenses. The Buckeye defense holding Washington to single digits, but the Husky defense keeping the Buckeyes to only 24 is the real story here.
It is something that people will raise an eyebrow at, but I also think Ryan Day taking Julian Sand out on the road for his first major career road start. I think he played a lot like he played at the Texas game when they played at home. They just needed to do enough to win the game. I don't think he wanted to go out there and have Sand throwing 50 times and trying to make him do things that would cost him mistakes down the road. I think he played it the same way he played the Texas game, and they got the job done.
So don't worry about winning flashy, just win.
Yeah, and they still put up some decent. It was a good margin gap. I like it. I'm happy with it because Washington's offense was electric, and that Buckeye defense was able to only hold them to 6 points, which says a lot about Ohio State's defense.
Yeah.
That's why I kind of going back to the Penn State for a brief moment. Right now, this Buckeye defense versus that Penn State offense right now, I'm giving Ohio State the edge because of the defense. And they keep playing like this week in and week out, and they're improving. They're getting better. And like you said, an NFL caliber defense in college, it's dangerous combination.
Yeah. Looking at this week's matchups in the Big Ten, we all know what Honey Badger doesn't give, and Wolverines usually don't give one either. Michigan's only loss this year was to Oklahoma in the season opener. They destroyed Central Michigan, but only beat Nebraska by 3. Wisconsin, on the other hand, has dropped their last 2 straight, falling to Alabama and Maryland. The Badgers need to put something together here to even be considered in the Big Ten West, but can they do it against this Michigan team?
I don't know. The Badgers did this one so bad. Nothing has worked. Punt, run, pass. It special teams. It's falling apart for Fickle, and his seat is hot right now. So he's got to find a way to rally these guys right now and play together. Michigan, they're not airtight, but they're no joke. Okay, they're still winning. They took a loss to Oklahoma, but they're still a dangerous football team. The Wolverines got to clamp down on defense and just let the run game loose. We don't have to have Bryce Underwood throwing 100 freaking times today. Just run the ball. Because right now, I don't think Wisconsin can stop it. I don't think they're going to be able to stop it. If they decide to air it out, I don't think Wisconsin can stop it. Unless Luke Fickle pulls a miracle out. I like them in this one, 30-13.
Alabama has been on a tear since losing their season opener to Florida State. As we just mentioned, they went over Wisconsin 2 weeks ago and managed to stop Georgia's momentum last week. But the Tide just might have a problem with Vanderbilt. Yes, you heard that right, Vanderbilt. The Commodores have annihilated every team they've played this year. Their closest game was just last week against Utah State. It was a 20-point gap, 55-35 Vandy. Are they putting Nashville hot chicken in the Gatorade? Because those boys are clearly coming to play.
Yeah, Vanderbilt this year, when they beat Alabama last year, it caught my attention. Not just because of how of the fact they beat Alabama for the first time
Ever.
but it was a real getter because it looked like that team was prepared to take that game to the distance.
Yeah.
It wasn't a fluke, and they've proven it this year. And the Commodores this year are better than last year's team to beat. Alabama. The defense, I believe, for the Commodores has a trickless sleeve this year for the strong Bama pass game. Simpson for Alabama's thrown for like 300 yards a game. I mean, they're strong. They're strong. So I'm looking to see. That's my matchup. Bama's been resurrected since by Caleb DeBoer, and he knows he can't go likely against Diego Paris. That's not right. I don't know. I must have. Well, anyway, these quarterbacks will have monster games today, and in this game, ESPN. Here we go again.
Mm-hmm.
ESPN matchup prediction says Bama wins by 74.2%. I'm going to say flip that script, Jack. Vanderbilt rolls into Tuscaloosa. Upset 34-31.
You're pulling a page out of the Legends playbook. You're saying,
Ups-
not so fast, my friend.
That's it. And I love it. A lot of people are picking Bama because they're at home, and I just don't. I don't know. I think they're in. I think they're in trouble. I think they're in trouble.
Finally, a Sunshine State showdown when Florida State hosts Miami. The Hurricanes have already beaten two other Florida teams, besting South Florida 49-12 and putting the Gators down 26-7 last week. The Seminoles, meanwhile, despite going over Alabama, beat two what you might call cupcake teams and fell to Virginia last week in double overtime. Everything points to Miami taking this one. Is ESPN right this time, oh wise one, or are you going with FSU?
Oh boy, both of these teams will battle in the trenches, but the Hurricanes have NFL talent all over both of those lines, offensively and defensively. For FSU to win it, it has to make Carson Beck from Miami throw dangerous passes. He's been known to do that. You've got to play on turnovers. You got to get them. And FSU has been slipping on the tackling. You've got to have lockdown tackling. You're not stopping this Miami machine right now. Um, I think Miami settles the Seminoles here, 30-23.
That's all for us this week. I'm Scott Foltz alongside the man who beat ESPN, Jason Dye, and you've been watching Sports Talk on CFC. We'll see you next time.